Planner Training Session 7, Editing and Saving Views. Okay, so in Session 6 we had a little look at display and starting to see how the view might influence how our plan and task information looks on the screen. So let's explore views a little bit further and look at in particular around the filter and how that works and how we can save our own views or edit the ones that are there already. So let's have a look at that. So let's go into views here, and we're currently in the default view, which means we can edit that straight away by using edit view again. And here we could choose to change the settings that are built within that view. We've got a range of display settings for timescales, and so obviously on this default one we're showing everything in terms of an auto mode, but it is possible to switch on a manual mode and come down and look at either to look at particular date ranges, where we can come and look at from a particular start date to a particular end date, and we can make that plus or minus the tasks that we're looking at, or the overall plan, etc. once we've set those up in the filter. In terms of display columns, we can switch these on and off, and we can see that our default view here isn't using any of the cost columns. Actually, it's in a more traditional plan type mode. So we could choose to switch some of these back on, so we could look at the cumulative total cost, the cumulative actual and progress costs, for example, like that, and apply those. And then we can see that the slider at the bottom has changed to show that we've got some extra columns added in there. And all the time we're starting to edit this, we can see up at the top that we're on a modified version of the default view. Actually, if I now OK that, and I could choose to change the display order of some of these columns by bringing them over here. So I can just drag them around to get them how I want them. So bring those in, and we might take the tag one over here. We're not particularly interested in tag in this case. Might bring resources in here. We're not interested in predecessors. Take that one over there. So we've changed around the arrangement of that. And if I now reopen the edit view, it's remembered the tab I was on in the edit view, and I can now read this from current, and it will change the display order of those. We can see those are now showing in here. So that means when I go to save this as my new view that I'm interested in, when I reopen it, it's going to change the columns that are showing and the order that they're at. And in fact, we can also change the split between the task view and the task Gantt chart type view and the task list view, which is done over here on the general display here with this slider. So we can adjust the amount of gap between each section, if we choose obviously to put that on. So we can see that's narrowed that down a bit further. So we can choose our maximization of the screen as well. So there's a whole load of things there about the particular columns, how they're sized and displayed, and we can switch on and off here the various tasks. And we looked at this a little bit in the last tour and what we're sorting by, etc. So a range of these options here, fairly self-explanatory. What I particularly want to look at in this session though is the use of the filter. So the filter is where we choose not to display all the tasks, but instead choose to just either prioritize certain tasks in the display by highlighting them and therefore leaving the rest what we'd call low lighted, or to instead just show particular tasks. Now these filter rules can be combined together. So the default one here rather handily has a whole set of rules preset for me that I can switch on and off and use, or I can add new ones myself using the bottom part of the form here. Other views will have, some views don't have any rules at all, they're just about display, like the cost one would be, where you show all the tasks but you're just changing around the columns and display modes. So let's have a look at that in some more detail then. So firstly we'll switch our filter on, and we might say we're just interested in tasks that are due to finish before today. So let's have a click on that and see a bit more about what that's doing. It's looking for tasks that are finishing before date 1, and date 1 down here is set as now, today. Of course we could switch that off and instead choose a particular date, plus or minus a date or hour range, etc. So we've got the ability to to tweak around with that a bit, but it's by default now set at tasks that finish before today. So we're going to include those. So if I now apply that rule, we can see our filter is on and it's only showing us tasks that finish before today. Any tasks that finish after today are no longer displayed, and we can see it's therefore filtered out 30 of those. So that was nice and easy. If we instead look at, rather than clean filtering them, if we instead look at doing a highlight of those. So let's highlight that. And we're changing this rule here, so we need to apply that rule change here, which we've now done. And now we can apply the overall thing. And now we can see that what we've got is the tasks that finish after today are still visible, but they're what we call low lighted, and we've given extra visual priority, highlighting, to the tasks that do finish before today. So we can use this in combination with other things. So we might then say, we might then look at something else as a combination rule. So let's put in a rule as well which looks for tasks that start. What have we got? Let's exclude completed tasks. So we've got two rules here. This one is we're looking at percentage complete greater than or equal to 100. They're going to be excluded. So let's apply that combination. So we've taken out all completed tasks. We're still showing tasks that started that complete before today, or supposed to complete before today. So what we're essentially left with is all completed tasks taken out, and we've got all other tasks showing, and those that should be now finished are shown in normal colour, and the rest are low lighted. So we've created a little rule here which is a little bit like one of our standard views, which is just showing me excluded tasks, but actually it's showing me the context within that as well and what's to come in the plan, but that's just in a low light. So that's me building a compound rule up, and you can obviously build up as many of these things as you want to. You can leave them preset and switched off like this, or you can just add them and delete them as you need to. Now if I want to save this view to use again, I could change any of the other aspects of it as well, and then I can come to manage views here, and I can choose to save it. So I can't do a save on top of a standard view, one of the standard views, but I can save it as something else. So let's give it a description. So it's a sort of second version of my overdue one, and I can do save as, and I can call it something new. So it's going to offer me the original name, but I'm going to instead call it overdue 2. Okay, so we've now saved that, and we can close that down. I could now very easily come to my selected view and go straight back to the proper default like that. We go back into our normal plan, and then when I want to come back to my saved view, overdue 2, I'm back into that again. So really quite easy actually to do once we get a feel for what view does, and at what points we switch on and off and save our changes, etc. We do need to be a little bit careful about that sometimes. Some things have to be done, like column reordering, when we're in the main screen here, and it can be possible to to slip and forget, change a new view, and you sort of lose what you had there previously. Now if you're in some sort of customized view and you save your plan, when you come back to it, it keeps that and it will reopen in that mode. So it may not open in default mode, it may not open in one of your fixed view modes, it'll open in whatever it was when you last saved it. So you sort of have a temporary view, which is the end point at which you close the plan, which is always saved and used at reload. So let's kind of have a look now at editing a view which is one of my customized views already. Now you see this offers me a save, so I can overwrite my locally saved views. And that can present a bit of a problem. If you're the manager, you present it, you prepare a view which is overdue tasks which we must finish by the end of the week, and you send it out to people, and they then come in here and start messing about and changing things and accidentally save that view. They damage your view. The next time you come and look at it, you think you're looking at the same thing you set up before, but you're now looking at whatever it was they saved as the view. And therefore we can have something that locks the views. Now obviously the built-in views are all locked, but these local plan views, as we've just seen, we could choose to save and change what was included there. Now that's not the case if it's been centrally locked. Now this is again something new in 3.1. In the central preferences, it's possible to set a password which locks certain settings in the application. Now we talked more about this in tool number 2, Administrating Planner, but this lock password will prevent you changing any of the default views, any of those saved with the plan. It also prevents you changing any of the setups for risk and issue calculations and a couple of other things as well. So quite an important thing. And of course that's a private password. It's not stopping you changing any of the content of the plan, it's just stopping you changing the views. Okay, so that's a little bit about views. A couple of other things I guess to pick up on that. When you're in a view, you may want to occasionally switch a filter off. We talked about this a bit last time. Or put it back on again, so you can do that without having to go back to default, just to show all the remaining tasks as well. And you can also reset the various other items. So if you've been in your view and you've come in and changed, so let's put our filter back on for the view. We'll come back in and edit it, and we might choose to change the timescale to be a different one. So let's bring that back to say here. So we've messed around with that plan a little bit. Now we can, using this, come back and reset the timescale to what it was in the starting point of the view. So we can come back to where our view started as. If we've gone a bit too far away from where it was, we can come back to the start again. Rather than having to come back and reselect the whole thing, we can reset parts of it. So we can reset the sort, the timescale, the column displays, the entire view, and we can also do a save as from here. So if we're not messing around particularly with timescales and some of the more detailed things in the view form, we can move columns around here, and so if we just move a couple of columns around, and we're to do some expand and collapses, etc., then we can do a save as, and that will save a new view based on what we're currently looking at. Okay, so that's a bit further into views, looking at saving those as well, and that's the end of Tour 7. In Tour 8 we're going to have a look through importing, exporting and sharing our plans with other people. Thanks.